into the studio, Patricia Matthews. I do apologise.
Yeah, Tony's in training. I have to vouch for Tony.
I was going to call you something completely different, but at least it was decent.
And plus, Patricia, he has to look past that enormous cake that you brought in to get to you, so we can excuse him.
I was not influenced by the cake in the least.
Thank you very much for that. Tell us all about Grandma's Antique Recipe Book.
Right, okay then. Well, Grandma's Antique Recipes is a legacy of a Lancashire lass, and it was left to me when Grandma Sarah died, along with her wedding ring, which I'm wearing at the moment, because she knew that I would be the next Grandma Matthews. So it's late, I've had it for a long, long time, and then in 2007 I decided to I thought I'd transpose all and convert all the recipes.
So did you use it?
I did use it when the kids were little. I made the lemon cheese and lemon curd and the bread. And although my mum was a good cook as well than I am, so you know, but there were different things in here. And then I put it on the back burner. And then in May this year, I thought I'll do something about it. You know, and it was brought about by one or two reasons I decided to do it. And I just started off, and it started off just like converting all the recipes from imperial to metric, and then I thought I started to grow arms and legs, and started to do a bit of researching into the different flours that they used and the different things that they used, different ovens.
You come across some strange ingredients as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we've had. There were things like things measured in grams, and the patent flour that for a long time. I mean, obviously when she got older, she get more modern equipment, but the flour is, she mentions patent flour. Now they searched this and I thought, what is patent flour? And the combination is cream of tartar and another ingredient, and they put it into the flour, and I found it was like a raising agent. And we know it now as self-raising flour. But they didn't sound like the 00 flours and the sponge flours, and it just says flours. And only the bakers then knew the difference in flours, and it comes from different parts of the corn and the husk and that. So that was quite an interesting thing, you know. So
and I believe the cake you brought for us to sample tonight, we've had the kettle on, haven't we? It's got vinegar in it.
Yeah, when I saw this, I thought, oh, this will never work. Like some of the things I thought will never work. And so I made it, and I added the vinegar and everything, and I thought, why did I put vinegar in this? And I did a bit more research. And apparently, after the war, there was a big shortage of eggs. So I don't know how they came across this, but they put bicarbonate and vinegar, and some chemical reaction occurs, and it causes a raising agent. So it makes everything light.
Oh.
And now you can put it in any, even though you use eggs, if you just put a dessert spoon of vinegar in, it does make a real big difference, you know, to the cake. So that's how I came across that. And I made it, and I thought, oh, this will never work.
Yeah.
Anyway, it did.
You mentioned the war, and of course your Nana, should we call her Grandma or Nana?
Yeah,
Grandma Sarah.
Grandma Sarah.
She would have lived through that, wouldn't she?
Oh, she did, yeah.
Quite a kitchen learning curve, I think, for most ladies that needing to bring up a family and feed them.
Well, yes, that's right. I mean, these women, will never see the likes of them again, because they were strong, and they were no-nonsense type of women. They were, good mothers, and all they bothered about was, looking after the family, church going, well, she was anyway, and that kind of thing. And whenever they baked like in batches, massive amounts, because they fed a large family.
It's something that we've been doing in our house, and I know at Bolton Market they're doing a big sale on their stocks. The vegetables ready-made up, chopped and that, for people making up stocks. And I think people, because it's colder, and also it saves a lot of money to do it, like you say, cooking in batches, cook a big pot full, and then as they come in, if they want some more, they can have a taste, or maybe take some for dinner to work.
I think the other thing was, they didn't have the ovens that we have now. They didn't have any thermostats or anything. They were fired by coal. So when they got these cast iron ovens to a certain heat, say they're making the bread, they did all the bread at once, because it reached that heat. It also, the fire, heated the house and everything. And I think that's why they did a lot of pies and a lot of bread and stuff like that, because of the ovens that they used. And then they moved on to something called a bungalow range, and that was like People of my age will remember this. People with grandmas that had these, and they were built in the chimney breast, and then they were a little bit more modern. Then obviously as she got older and in the 50s, the 40s and 50s, she did get a gas cooker and it had thermostats on, but she still used a bungalow range to cook.
Lovely.
Yeah, so.
To what extent did the equipment used impact upon the recipe produced? If you did it on a bungalow range, will it produce a different result from?
Yes, it does. I've done everything that the recipes I've made. I've stuck to the original, but they can all be made in a food processor and they can all be made by a whisk. But it does have a different texture,
right?
Because they've not got the light, the air in it, and but it's still really, really tasty. And it would be all they knew. They wouldn't know, these cakes that are so light that are made in big manufacturers and supermarkets. But it was a different texture, but a firmer texture, but it was still as tasty, yeah.
Well, we're going to have a little break and we're going to sample the vinegar fruit cake, see if we can taste it.
You won't.
Not a trace, couldn't taste any vinegar at all.
It's amazing, yeah.
And what was that? It's like a raising agent.
Yeah, no, yes, it was, yeah. The vinegar and the bicarb mixed together causes some kind of chemical reaction. I'm not sure whether they were aware of it or not, but it caused a raising agent, yeah.
Beautiful. And you brought in some, looks like chocolate.
Oh, no, this is mine. This is a Mars bar cake. The girls at work will know about this Mars bar cake.
Oh, dear.
I know.
Doesn't sound good for New Year's resolutions, Tony.
No.
Is it healthy?
Is it?
Healthy.
Oh, yes. As soon as you break it open, all the calories fly away.
Oh, that's okay. That's good.
Yeah, we'll try that one next then. Right, we've got on your website, we must mention your website, it's www.grandmasantiquerecipes.com.
Yeah,
It's grandmasantiquerecipes.com, and there's a lovely picture there on our, about Grandma Sarah, who was a Salford lass.
Yes, she was.
I presume from the picture she's at someone's wedding.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, because that's definitely a wedding hat. Yeah, lovely, yeah. So being brought up in Salford, of course, she didn't know about the basics of knowing what good householding needs,
Yeah,
wasn't
she was one of 7 children. She was the only girl with 7 boys.
Oh dear me,
Yeah.
you wouldn't wish that on anybody, would you?
Well, no. But anyway, and she was in to the younger end, so she would have looked after, the older, and when they came home from the mill and whatever jobs they were doing. And she lived in Salford till she was 8, so she was born when Queen Victoria was on the throne.
Wow.
And then she moved to Bolton, and she lived in Bolton, and she lived round about in Fine Street, where she met Grandpa. And then there was a lot of mills, so they did work in the mill. He was just he was a mill worker and she was a mill worker. And in 1915 she got married on the 30th December 1915. And then he was in the First World War. He'd been in the war for 12 months.
You're going back a long way, because I'm looking at the photograph, and I presume what
that's at one at a family wedding. That's her. She'd be about 60 there. That's they had to ask for photos.
Right.
It's so long ago that the families are not like they were, when I was small or when she was small. They were much closer, and people travel.
Was she related to Mrs. Merton?
Mrs. Merton, she looked that hat.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, that hat, yeah. She could be a bit stingy. She was very, very strict, but she had a wicked sense of humour.
Right.
And she's a brilliant mimic.
Did you do any of your cooking with her?
No, I didn't. We used to go and visit her when we were courting, and go to her house, and we used to go on Wednesdays in the middle of the week, the no day we used to call it. We used to go and visit her, and we'd sample all the scones and the bread and it was lovely. She was a brilliant cook, yeah.
Is this when you were courting your dear husband that's sitting here?
Yes, my best boy.
They say that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, so you went
certainly worked
via your grandma.
As you can see.
Well, because there's a lot of sampling while you've been going through this book and making sure that these recipes are right. You've obviously been doing a lot of sampling. He's not going on mic, so...
He looks very well off it though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. And behind every good there's a good woman.
Now you've got something happening on YouTube, haven't you?
Oh yes, I've got, there's videos on there. There's about 9 videos, 9 demonstrations, 9 demos of some of the recipes in the book.
These are step by step, are they?
Yeah, and that's me in my kitchen, actually making, you know, recipes and stuff,
Right. So
right to the end.
we can set up their laptop in the kitchen and do it with you.
Yeah, of course
That's
you can.
brilliant.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. And there's one coming up now, and I'm going to do it next week, and it's for Valentine's Day. And I've got a challenge for the chaps out there with this, because the street cred will be amazing. But it doesn't involve any cooking. And it's from a very old recipe, but, well, relatively old recipe. It's called coconut ice, and I can remember these when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But we've got a modern slant on it, you know. We're going to do some, like, pretty little hearts, because it's fairly pliable. You can press it around in an ice box and a bottle of wine, and I'm challenging the
Lovely.
chaps to have a go at this, but everyone can have a go, the kids and everything, yeah.
And a lovely gift for Valentine's
Oh yes,
Day.
yes, yeah.
I think I earn a brownie badge with
Did
ice.
you?
Yeah, with the coconut ices.
Oh,
Yeah.
so famous, so you didn't know it, did you?
Well, the instructions are nice and simple, so any man, including me, can do that.
Oh, you're going to accept my challenge?
Might have to.
If Sylvia's heard it, then definitely.
Yeah.
And of course, the book. Tell us
yes.
about the book.
Well, when I wrote this book, and in this book I wanted to write something, but there wasn't just, it's essentially a recipe book. But I just wanted to give an insight into the lives of women of Grandma Sarah's era, and to try and give some context by like a bygone age. And I wanted to set it amongst some social history surrounding her adopted town of Bolton.
So like a dedication.
It's
to
like a
those women.
dedicating, yeah. And,
That's lovely.
and in the book there's various landmarks. I've been ready taking my best boy, taking photographs of all around Bolton.
It's going to make us all
I
famous,
know.
isn't it, tonight?
and I've tried to write about, because Bolton has a lot of history, and it's got a lot of really interesting buildings and everything, like the pasty shop and Booths and Preston's and Mansfield, and I've tried to write, and I have written bits on it, you know, pieces on it that are of interest and different things. So.
And of course, the events surrounding your grandma, they happened 100 years ago.
Yes, it is.
She was married 99 years ago, I think this December, looking at that, or next December.
Yes.
So it isn't the recent past in one sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good number of years ago.
Yes, it is, yeah.
I'm sure the site of Bolton and Mum, that must dishearten you a little bit. You know, some of our big, you know, famous buildings and landmarks that have been there for a long time. It's looking a bit downcast at the moment, isn't it?
Well, it is, but I've picked out like the historical bits we've been involved in, like, you know, like Samuel Crompton. He was an inventor, massive inventor. And the parish church when I got married, and Preston's, and our brilliant town hall, and the museum, and the Octagon. You know, brilliant plays at the Octagon, fantastic.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of good things as well, you know. So I've mentioned those in the book, and so hopefully, you know, people will like it.
We're going to have a break and we're going to come straight back to you.
And I'm like, blood pressure. Now, how did they know whether they had it or not? But some of these, like vervain root, valerian, skullcap, mistletoe, they're still in. They're still used, you know. And a good tonic, a bottle of raisin wine, a gill, there we go, a gill of black beer, 2 ounces of Bovril.
Black beer, where would you get black beer? Tony, you're a beer specialist.
Never touched the stuff, Elaine.
There must have been something in the the early 1900s, and a teaspoonful of ammoniated citrate of iron. Right, so that's the tonic. And there's all sorts in. There's like the other one. There's a lot of them.
Sounds like it'll sort your bowels out. That
I'll
lot.
tell you what. yeah. A nerve tonic, a stomach bottle.
Well, people say, I mean, old wives' tales, don't they say old wives' tales and these old wives' recipes and that, but probably hundreds of years went into, you know, women, people going out and trying these things. And I know some of my Phil will swear by rosehip capsules for joints. And who discovered that? How could someone possibly know? It's trial and error, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were handed down. They must have worked because if they had anything really serious, the working class I'm speaking about now, they had to call, if they had to call for a doctor, it used to cost them. And working class people just didn't have this money.
Right.
You know, so
And
they were free, sorry.
There wasn't the same advance in medicines
They
and
didn't
the
know
like.
what medicines
No,
were.
so it was herbs and natural remedies, of course,
That's
wasn't
right,
it?
yeah, and they were handed down for a
Absolutely.
long time, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you go back far enough, even the ones that could afford a doctor or a physician, they weren't definitely getting the best of treatment, were they? Because
No.
it was early days.
That's right. They didn't know a lot about illness. They didn't know a lot about illness, you know. The Spanish flu was around in the 1920s and it killed a lot of people and they didn't know what it was. They weren't used to illnesses, you know what I mean?
Tell everybody the name of the book again.
It's Grandma's Antique Recipes, The Legacy of a Lancashire Lass. And that's it.
And how much is it?
It's $9.99 on Amazon.
And it's a good chunky book, isn't it?
It is. There's 200 and something pages in it, yeah. There's all sorts of different things. There's things about Grandpa and his wood making thing that he made nearly all the furniture. He made his own stains. There's things about various memories of Bolton, different things like that. There's recipes, there's French polishes, that he made all his own French polishes, and there's nerve tonics.
It's amazing how people had time, isn't it, when everything was so basic. Yeah, that's it. And now we've got all this technical stuff, which to me, it just absorbs all our time rather than giving us more.
It's the talent and the ability to do those things, which I'm sure I've not got. So
they're very resilient people. They have to. They make the best of what they have.
Yes, which wasn't a lot.
No, that's right.
Right, Patricia, I'm going to try and play a song for you that you requested. I'm sure it's going to come out of here. I'm not very technical, but we'll try this.
Thanks.
Ah, there it is.
To me so far.
Yeah, that's
Thank
something
you
we've
very
not
much.
talked about. You work at Alpha Green, don't you?
Yeah,
Because I used to go to
Yeah,
Alpha
that's right,
Green.
yeah,
But it's steadily improved, I think, since the days I was there. And
Oh,
I know
yeah.
anybody would forgive me, those that were in my class, that...
So you'll know my friend Peter Conroy then, will you?
Oh, I do know Peter.
Yes, you know, it's a small world, isn't it?
It is. He and I made a calendar for the school, you know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, Dolly Parton
Oh?
and Kenny Rogers. That's where we were, yeah, no, Peter, he is
Yes,
lovely.
very well, very well.
He is, he's lovely, yeah. I'd like to say hello to Gregory, Richard and Guy and all his friends as well. I'd like to say a special hello to John Hart, who's listening in Edinburgh. He said he'd try and get me today. And Paul and Rennie, they're in Zurich. And Paul Collis, if you've got us in Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean.
Well, if
So,
they
yeah.
if they miss tonight, just tell them they go on the Bolton FM website and they go to the Listen Again availability and just go on Community Con and they'll be able to listen again to you, because I'm sure they'll be
For the
sad
next 7 days.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'd like to just thank everybody that supported me and everyone that's listening in. Thank you so much.
Right, well, just to recap, Patricia's book is called Grandma's Antique Recipes, and what was the other bit? Oh, it's a legacy.
Of a Lancashire Lass.
That's it.
It's a little subtitle, yeah.
Available on Amazon, Waterstones, very shortly, and
It's
hopefully,
nice
fingers
down.
crossed, very soon at the Bolton Library as well.
Yes, in the museum upstairs and down in the local history. Yeah, Jenny, the local history wants some as well.
And where can the gentleman do the Ice Coconut Challenge?
Well, on YouTube, if they type in on YouTube Patricia Matthews and they just put a recipe on, say potato pie or something like that, it'll bring all the videos up.
Right.
And then this is a new one, I'm going to do this next week.
Yeah.
And it's the challenge for the chaps.
That'd be nice. And if we could do it heart-shaped as well. For
Well, I'm
St.
doing some of
Valentine's.
those, yeah. I'm doing some of the original and some in different little shapes in a presentation box.
Don't make it too complicated if it's for the next.
No, it's very easy. I'm telling you, it's very easy.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you in the studio. Thank you very much for your cake. Dave will be devastated that he's missed the cake. We're not going to save you any neither, Dave.
No, we're not, no.
Oh, dear.
It was beautiful. And we're going to finish on a song by a group called Cake. Can you believe it?
Thank you very much.
It's called Short Skirt Long Jacket.